Stand by. The program will begin soon. I don't know why I'm talking about this. During World War II, we sent 90 million pounds of spam just to the Russians alone. I mean, we sent it all over the world. Our troops, especially in the Pacific Theater, ate it. That was basically what they ate all the time. 90 million pounds to the Russians. Apparently in like the 50s, Nikita Khrushchev said, you know, if they hadn't sent us all this spam, they might not have been able to feed their troops during World War II. So a little weird canned kind of ham pork product, canned meat, may have won World War II. And the Fed is trending on X. And I wasn't sure why, and I'm still not 100% sure why, although part of it is because of this building that they're renovating. They're supposed to be renovating one of the buildings at the Fed, right? And the other day, Donald Trump came out there with Jerome Powell, and they're talking about how the renovation of the building was kind of a little bit over budget, okay? First of all, the numbers on this are crazy. They wanted $2.something billion to renovate a building at the Fed. $2.1 billion. Well, this is $2.5 billion. But they're over budget by over $1 billion for one building. They're over budget over $1 billion for one building. $1 billion friggin' dollars for one building. This isn't even for building a new building. It's for renovating a building. What the actual F are they doing? If after a night of filling your rectum with vodka from a turkey baster, the cops find you changing a flat in the cereal aisle of a Piggly Wiggly and ask how much you've had to drink, and you say nothing, are you lying? Well, no. Now, if they had been asking, have you been injecting? You'd have to say yes, but they said, have you been drinking? Well, no, absolutely. Yeah, Lord Stanhope, absolutely not. In fact, you all can try to answer these questions. Stand by. The program will begin soon. A WNBA game got stopped in the middle of the game because one of the players lost their wig while they're playing, and they had to run off. And then some fan made fun of the player, and they had to run. And they kicked the fan out for making fun of a player losing the weave. Not a weave, it was a wig. Losing their wig. They had to have a timeout for the wig, a wig emergency. Which I'm like, why the F are you wearing a wig while you're playing basketball? But then yesterday, or I believe it was yesterday, a game had to be stopped briefly because someone threw a big old green dildo on the floor. Someone threw a dildo out on the floor, out of the court. They had to stop the game. I don't know if they caught the person who sent the dildo, but the green dildo was on the court, and a good large number of the players had no idea what to do with something of that shape, but that's okay. It happened, and then someone made this t-shirt or this meme, pay us what you owe us, which has a dildo on it. So that was fun. Hey, you know what the really good interrupt violence through community-based bystander training? Yeah, if the bystanders beat the fuck out of someone who's attacking somebody else, that would be great bystander training. They could send them to the MMA gym, you know, put them in an arm bar, smack them in the face a few times. Stop doing that bullshit. That would be the best community-based bystander training, but I don't think that's what he means. Anyway. And then the other one, they'll go back all the way to Dylan Roof. Dylan Roof's the other one, which, does anyone, okay, let me ask you something. A lot of you are right-leaning on the right. Is there anybody in this that you, anyone you know of? Is there anyone that you know of on the right who supports or supported Dylan Roof? Because I know everyone I can think of who's like, Dylan Roof, fuck that guy. He went out and murdered people in a church. Fuck that guy. But the left is like, oh, he was a right-wing extremist. Nah, he's a fucking asshole. Fuck that guy. Yeah, fuck Dylan Roof. Nobody gives a shit about Dylan Roof. Nobody claims him. Nobody wants him. He's an asshole. Okay? He's a little punk bitch asshole who killed a bunch of people in the church. Stand by. The program will begin soon. Reverend Robin Bartlett of First Church of Sterling, Massachusetts, uses John 1:14 of the Bible to justify why she brings her 11-year-old son to drag shows. This is what we're getting in the Rainbow Church. The Rainbow Church aren't exactly hiding. That's true. The Word became flesh and lived among us, and my body, your body, their bodies are home for the living God. That is why I take my 11-year-old boy to drag shows in the summer with my friend and fellow church leaders, Kate, and her 11-year-old boy. Especially if you're a man, bodies can be celebrated and played with. That's her message. What the fuck? California wants to let someone that is not related to your child remove her from school, him or her, enroll her in any other school in the state, authorize any medical treatment, including mental health services and drugs, without the parent's notice and knowledge or consent. Can you see where that might be a problem? This is not fear-mongering. I'm not being hyperbolic, she warned. These are unintended consequences, and it is terrifying. They are unconscionable or unavoidable. So that's one really bad California law that they're coming with. I can't believe. I'm just dumbfounded that they're doing it. Now this is interesting. That new mayor candidate, the leading Democratic mayor candidate for New York City mayor, Damme, wants cops to stop responding to attacks on Jews. And by the way, Jews in the New York City are victims of the majority of hate crimes. Not a plurality, but the majority of hate crimes against people in New York are against Jewish people. And you know, especially the religious hate crimes. Anyway, 345 hate crimes in New York City last year, more than all other minority groups combined, according to the New York Police Department data. Anti-Jewish crimes accounted for 54% of the 641 total hate crimes reported to police in the city in 2024. Since the beginning of the year, 60% of the 123 recorded hate crimes have targeted Jews, according to the New York Police Department. Well, Zohran Mamdani, the radical Islamist and leftist terrorist supporter, has proposed that New York Police Department not respond to hate crimes, instead that they be handled by social workers. Either this shifts resources away from responding to attacks on Jews and moves away from having law enforcement deal with those attacks, and instead has its political leftist allies deal with them by burying them. Right? Show. If I put something on the screen, or I'm talking about it, or it's a topic or an article that I'm presenting in this show, I provide links to every single thing that I've talked about, and even more, the ones I didn't even get to, I drop them in the chat at the end of the show, and also I drop them in the description. So if you want to find these articles, they will be in the links at the end of the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only Dawg Knight.
Happy hump day, everybody. Can you hear me? I can hear me. All right, what's up? Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as Dawg Knight on the internet. And welcome back to Dawg Knight. That too. And it is the Wednesday, the 10th of September, 2025. Hump day, of course. And, it's weird. The holiday calendar is really light today, but the holiday that I was want to focus on is important. So we'll get to that in a minute. I'm not a whole lot of fluff because I got a whole bunch of tabs open today and I want to try to get to all of them if I can, although I know that's not going to happen. So let's just say hi and get this thing started. How many people are here? Oh my gosh, where is everybody? Well, it takes a while for people to get here. I understand that. Anyway, let's start with saying hi. First in the chat today, what do you call it? A blip in the matrix. Is Green Badger Outdoors gets the bell. Way to go. Just edged out the regulars. Also in the chat, of course, Avocados Diabli. A close second, but number one in my heart. Also, good morning, Louis. Hello, Louis. What's up? Good morning, Unacceptable Views, my other favorite Canadian, Somnambul Nation, Wheezy Mech Blunt Blowing, aka JB, Attack Alpaca, K-Show, what up, Kirsten, and Resolute Germ, and Lord Stanhope. Did I say it's Lord Stanhope? I almost skipped Lord Stanhope. I didn't want to do that. So people are slowly but surely jumping in, and it's kind of because I didn't give you a whole lot of time. And so I'll do enough fluff to see if we get a few more people showing up, but then we're going to keep going. So, and obviously the daily fluff is what's the holiday today. But before I do that, let's, wait, what the hell happened here? Did I move that? Okay, that's why. Okay, let's say thanks to people who've already started telling us that the show is here, including none other than Somnambul Nation tweeted out the show like a champ, like a boss. Is there a new word for that? Like the kids using, because they have all these other dumb words like skibbity and all that shit. I learned that skibbity means kind of nasty, gross, like a skibbity toilet. Anyway, yeah, thank you for sharing the show, Somnambul Nation. And what? Wednesday, huh? Okay, let's go. Why you got an old sad-looking SpongeBob on there? He looks tired as F. Anyway, thank you for sharing the show. Also, Green Badger Outdoors. What is that? Something surrounding that fighter jet pilot. Is that like, what the hell? That's the circles around. I've never seen that before. Is that an effect that those jets have? Also, thank you, JB with a Let's Go, dropping some nice looking pizza there. What is that? What? Okay, it said anything. You can just say let's go with a GIF, and that's the one you chose. K-Shaw, thanks for sharing the show by reposting, and same with JB, and same with Somnambul Nation. So that's a good start. People will show up when they show up, so but I got shit to do, so we got to get this done today. Okay, anybody else here yet? Nope. Wow, where the hell is everybody? It's 14. You'd think that where's the Pope today? The Pope's late. Anyway, so today's holiday, and it's not really a holiday. But I think it's an important topic that we need to take seriously today, and I will take it seriously. It is World Suicide Prevention Day, and people here, Mental Health Foundation says today is World Suicide Prevention Day, and we're spreading the message that it's okay to talk about suicide. In fact, asking directly can help save a life. For advice on talking about suicide, check out our website, which is, I'll put even a link to the website there today. Mental health's important. Good morning, Select Boy. Yeah, boy. And Anon, 1, 2, 3. Anyway, this is the United Kingdom's mentalhealth.org, but it's important. In the United States, if you need help or you know somebody who needs help, there's a toll-free kind of like 911, except it's 988, which is known as the Lifeline, lifeline.org. If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, you are not alone. Our partner Lifeline can help. Just call or text 988. Very important message. So, and there's several messages on here. Let's see, today's World Suicide Prevention Day. You are not alone. Your life matters. Your story matters. If you're struggling, please know that reaching out is a sign of strength, not weakness. There is help and there is hope. Again, in the United States, they encourage you to dial 988 if you're struggling with issues like that. Other things on the calendar, there's only a few. National TV Dinner Day, which I don't like to make a joke about. Never mind. I'm not going to do it. Anyway, and also White Balloon Day, which describes many of the women on Instagram. So anyway, and then the Petru Paksha Day is still on here. Is it like every day this week? I don't know, but there's those peaks of white rice, and there you go. So that's it on the holiday calendar day. Kind of weird. Oh, I didn't even have those on the screen, did I? See, here they are. World Suicide Prevention Day, National TV Dinner Day, White Balloon Day, Instagram, and Petru Paksha. So I have no idea what that is. So anyway, and then also, of course, it's Hump Day. So we're gonna get on the old Hump Day thread on X today. Unfortunately, yeah, I can't even scroll on this. Wait, oh, it must have changed. So here it is. When you wake up and you realize you are still not rich. That's one of the memes. Good morning, everyone. The hard truth is not pretty sometimes, but happy Hump Day. Hope it's a good one. And then I scrolled down, and okay, this is a nice one. The little American flag action. That's nice. But then the next one, I can't scroll. It's already a naked body. The third one. So I can't scroll on just the regular Hump Day thread. But then there's also a Happy Hump Day thread, or Happy Hump thread, which is a little more kid friendly. Happy Hump Day, everybody, with a nice little whatever cloud thingy there, and then the same meme there, and then just some eye candy here and there. There you go, AD. That's for you, and that's for you, and then this is AI generated. But still, it's one of those. And then this one, yeah, this is still fucking white. What does that mean? Anyway, and then here you go. Every time we talk, I get wet. Do I arouse you? No, you spit when you talk. And then another little eye candy. Happy Hump Day, Patriots. I can scroll pretty far in this one. And this guy making out with a doll on a bus stop. That's weird. And then, am I still safe? Still safe so far. And then, finally, well, she's clothed. No, okay. And then, okay. So anyway, you get it. The Hump Day degenerates are out there, but only on the Hump Day one. So there you go. Thank you, Avocados Damme. You are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day with the first donation of the day, a small bullet, a 223, who says, Ted Bundy worked for a suicide prevention hotline. Just saying, don't trust those people. I did not know that. That's a little bit disturbing. Thank you, AD, for that round of wisdom from you. I appreciate it. If you want to sponsor the show, Johnny Boobertech's got the link in the chat, PDawgKnight.live. Just click it. Then that's the best place to donate to the show. Good morning to the Pope Tyrannus III. The Blessed Lich with today's message of hope. Blessings of the Most High. Yesterday has been written, today is being written, and tomorrow will be written. Keep that in mind when you are going about your day. That is an inspirational message from the Pope. Thank you, Pope Tyre. All right, let's keep going here. All right, main topic, because I laughed laughed very heartily when I saw this yesterday, because the reason first let me show you the tweet. It's here's your daily Krasenstein. Where is it? Here it is. Brian Krasenstein was crowing yesterday about a jobs report because, well, here, let me just tell you what he wrote. Brian Krasny says job growth just revised down by 911,000 jobs through March. Largest marks down come in leisure and hospitality, 176,000, professional and business services, 158,000, and retail trade. Trump is destroying our economy. Oh no. Whoops. And he's excited because he can say something bad about Donald Trump for a change, or excuse me, like normally. Oh, I forgot the gay voice. Job growth just revised down by 911,000 through March. The largest marks down. Okay, you get the point. Anyway, so I looked at that. And I'm like, wait a minute. There's something. Wait a minute. I read what he wrote, and he said through March, and I was thinking, wait, self, how can that be? It's September. So I went to look for what the hell he was talking about. Well, today at the update, now I found what I was looking for. I still did find what I was looking for. I didn't even get to sing that right. Anyway, and now there's stories today too, which I found this yesterday, but here's Grok's summary of what he's talking about. U.S. jobs revised down by $911,000, not jobs, excuse me, in Biden era shocker. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. That's why it says through March. On September 9, 2025, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics announced a historic downward revision of 911,000 jobs for the 12 months ending in March 2025, revealing that job growth under President Joe Biden's administration was far weaker than initially reported. Now, I've talked about this often. Good morning, Gabriel Pony, my favorite Canadian. I've talked about this so often, how there's almost a unwritten rule, but it is very accurate depiction of the rule, that when Democrats are in office, the Bureau of Labor Statistics overcounts jobs and then revises them down later, almost every time it's a Democrat in office. And when Republicans are in office, it's just the opposite. They report low numbers and those numbers are revised up. Now, they did break that rule one time, and that was I think 2 months ago with Trump's numbers. They were down a little more, or they revised it down slightly. But point being, Brian Krasny thought he was talking about Trump, when in reality he was talking about Joe Biden. 911,000 fewer jobs than had been reported. This massive adjustment impacting sectors like leisure, hospitality, and retail has sparked calls for economic policy reforms from Trump officials, including Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who blamed flawed data for delaying Federal Reserve actions and exacerbating inequality. Critics, however, attribute the downturn to Trump's policies. Well, how can it be Trump's policies if it was during the Biden administration? That's what's hilarious about it. So, and yesterday when I read Brian's thing, I was like, oh, I went and found it, and I'm like, oh, you're an idiot. You're dumber than dirt. Because, and people were trying to point this out to him. Well, here, this is Liberty Nation. The annual benchmark revisions for payroll jobs report were revised for the year through March. They are widely expected to show significant downward adjustments, blah, blah, blah. But the people who are responding to Krassenstein are people who like Krassenstein, right? So I'm looking at all these people talk about it. Him reporting that, saying, oh, because he said, Trump is destroying our economy. So this idiot, travel and tourism down. People don't want to come here right now. Vegas is a ghost town. Again, these numbers for last year. MAGA is blaming Biden, of course, because it was during Biden's watch. And someone here finally points out, dumb fuck. It was for the previous year until March 2025. Trump wasn't even in office for 2 months by then. It's basically Biden's report card. Ding! Ding, 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 ding. So anyway, I just found it funny that Krassenstein jumped all over it like an idiot and then didn't really read what the report said, because I was going to title this, stream, niggas don't read. Because I can say that. I'm a black man. I can say that. And because I'm like, you're an idiot. So anyway, here again, BLS exposes 911,000 job cuts in Biden's fragile economy. This was yesterday's. But anyway, so Scott Bassett was on, he was on MSNBC? Was he on the, oh my gosh, he was on Meet the Press. He pushed back last week when I warned that the BLS jobs data would show a massive downward revision. Now it's official. 2024 job gains were exaggerated by nearly 1 million workers. And this is on top of an already reported 577,000 in downward revisions. This brings the Biden jobs overstatement to a staggering 1.5 million. The truth, President Trump inherited a far worse economy than reported, and he's right to say the Fed choking off growth with high rates. Yes, so this is one of those reasons that the Fed was, wasn't thinking about doing rate cuts. They were worried about overheating the economy, but that's a lot of overstatement of jobs under the Biden administration. So that is the main story, at least in the thumbnail today. If you want to read, this other article here, it's official U.S. economy created fewer jobs, Swamponomics, because they overreported. They overreported jobs. So there you go. All right, let's move on to other topics. Qatar, excuse me. I always say Qatar, but it's Qatar. Hello, Special Can Acid on the honorable mention list of favorite Canadians. It's a Canadian festival in the chat today. Good morning. Also, TC's in the house. Did I say TC earlier? You weren't here. You just got here, right? Okay, cool. Qatar is trending again because of these Hamas leadership who met their demise based on an Israeli strike in Qatar, and people are really kind of freaking out about it. Now, why did I got these out of order here? So let's start with the newsy parts of it. Israel targets Hamas leaders in airstrike on Qatar capital in Doha. Israel carried out a surprise airstrike. We talked about it yesterday, but I didn't get into too many details because I had read in the articles about it. But here we go. Israel carried out a surprise strike on Hamas leaders in Doha, Qatar. I don't know why I say Qatar. I've been saying Qatar since like the 80s. And then I realized, in about 10 years ago it was Qatar, but I still say Qatar. Qatar on Tuesday taking aim at terrorist billionaires long sheltered by a country that is considered a strong U.S. ally where the U.S. has an air base. Now, something about this, and this doesn't necessarily have to do with the Israel airstrikes, but I was thinking about this, and I noticed a lot of the rhetoric right now among the left, especially younger people on the left, is talking about how billionaires should not exist. Okay? And I know this is completely a side note, but how billionaires should not exist. And, they're obviously in the United States, tax rich, blah, blah, blah. But I'm curious because the leadership of Hamas, who is, part of their stated goal is the demise of Israelis, and well, not necessarily Israeli Jews. They think Jews all around the world should be eliminated. They have a philosophy about that, right? And also, while they're leaving their, forcing many of the citizens of Gaza to remain in Gaza, while the leadership stays in Qatar and whooping it up there, and also the fact that so many of the leadership of Hamas are billionaires. Do you think that some people on the left today are celebrating the fact that Israel killed a bunch of billionaires? I mean, billionaires should not exist. Does that include the Hamas leadership, that they should not exist? Because I'm just curious. It's a very curious question that I have. I think that they're only billionaires. Oh, no. They've been stealing aid for years, and some of them are absolutely billionaires. But even if they're only millionaires, is it something that should exist when all the people of Gaza are starving and is struggling or whatever they call it, they say that, but or the genocide when they, again, now and the genocide thing always cracks me up. Not cracks me up. That sounds weird. Genocide cracks me up. No, it doesn't crack me up. But when they say that they're they're doing a genocide on Gaza, on the Palestinians. And then they say, well, there's been over 100,000 people killed in Gaza. The Israelis, striking wherever they're striking. But there were 7 million. There were 7 million people in Gaza. So how is 100,000 whatever have died in Gaza a genocide when there's over 7 million people in Gaza? I don't understand. But anyway, so the billionaires of leader Hamas, or even if they're just multi-millionaires, some have been eliminated. So anyway, Hamas leaders enjoyed a luxurious exile in Doha, living in plush 5-star hotels and posh homes. The Israel Defense Forces and Israel Security Agency, ISA, released a statement in which they did not mention Doha directly. The IDF is a statement. The IDF and ISA conducted a precise strike targeting the senior leadership of the Hamas terrorist organization. For years, these members of Hamas leadership have led the terrorist organization's operations and are directly responsible for the brutal October 7th massacre, and have been orchestrating and managing the war against the state of Israel. Prior to the strike, measures were taken in order to mitigate harm to civilians, including use of precise munitions and additional intelligence. The IDF and ISA will continue to operate with determination in order to defeat the Hamas terrorist organization responsible for the October 7th massacre. So they now, there's obviously questions on whether or not they should be allowed to do that in foreign lands that are not theirs, and we know. So let's see. I think I had another. Did I have another one of these? No, I did not. That was all I had for that, I think. Well, no, I'll have other. Oh, well, Hamas is training. Let's go to the other article here, though, which is just kind of related. So Greta Thunberg was in part of a flotilla of activists who were going to attempt to save Palestinians in Gaza, whatever. And it had been reported that their flotilla, the boat that she was on, was hit by a drone, from somebody. And but apparently, this is near Tunisia. Well, apparently that boat, that might be a false report. Okay, might be a false report. A boat part of Greta Thunberg's Gaza flotilla was likely set ablaze by a cigarette on board and not an Israeli drone strike, as claimed by the anti-Israel activist group Preliminary Investigation shows. On late Monday, Thunberg's global Sumud flotilla, GSF, pointed fingers at Israel when a fire broke out on one of its boats in Tunisian waters. Israeli officials believe that some of the leading Hamas leaders were eliminated in the... What? Wait, what? Israeli officials believe that some of the leading Hamas leaders were eliminated in the strike. Israeli officials have said they are increasingly optimistic about Hamas. Okay, they mixed up two articles here. They mixed up two articles here when they did this. Anyway, Tunisia's government security agencies denied the claims. A spokesman for Tunisia's National Guard told the Agence France Presse News AFP, that no drone had been detected and the investigation was ongoing. The BBC reported Tuesday. He added that an initial inspection indicated the explosion originated inside the vessel. The country's Ministry of Interior also rejected the drone strike theory peddled by Greta's group. Tunisia Interior Minister said that reports of a drone hitting a boat at its Sidi Bou Said port have no basis in truth, and that a fire broke out on the vessel itself. In the video, it was on video, one of them shot a flare at their own boat. Oh, did they? I didn't hear about that. Hello Hoko Sports, by the way. I saw someone had drowned in water. Israel was blamed for the water being wet. Oh, yeah, you know how that goes. So anyway, let's just say her boat was not hit by a drone strike, according to Tunisian officials and the investigation. And it was a interior issue with the boat. In other news, too, apparently there's a journalism professor at Northwestern who used to run an organization that funneled money to Hamas. Ibrahim Abu Sharif teaches a mandatory seminar promoting Qatar after a lawsuit from Hamas terror victims crippled the group he co-founded. I don't know what that means. Anyway, Northwestern University describes journalism professor Ibrahim Abu Sharif as a former book publisher who has been involved in projects to translate from Arabic into English the Quran. It does not give examples of those projects, perhaps because they include Quranic Literacy Institute, an organization Abu Sharif co-founded that raised and laundered money for Hamas and was forced to pay damages to the family of a teenage terror victim. Abu Sharif is a Chicago native who received his master's degree from Northwestern Medill School of Journalism and worked as a senior lecturer at the University's Evanston campus in 2008. From there, he moved to Qatar, where he served as an assistant and an associate professor of journalism at Northwestern's Doha campus for more than 17 years. But anyway, he worked for an outfit that was funneling money to Hamas. So great to have him in the United States. By the way, good morning, Ms. Wild Wolf and BB Luminous with the new Abby. What's up? Drone strike. There you go. All right. By the way, there is a new report out from 400 genocide scholars that are saying that Hamas and not Israel committed genocide. 420 genocide scholars, survivors, and experts signed a statement affirming that Hamas, not Israel, is guilty of the crime of genocide. The experts also criticized their fellow scholars who falsely accused Israel of genocide in Gaza. Scholars for Truth about Genocide condemned the inaccurate accusations of the International Association of Genocide Scholars against Israel. By the way, that's an organization that anybody can join by paying a $30 fee. The latter, I should say. While IAGS asserted that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza, Stagg explained why this is false. Genocide is the gravest offense known to humankind. To dilute its legal standard for ideological ends is a form of moral violence. Now, they had me until they used the word violence in that sentence. Not moral violence. Violence is a physical activity. But anyway, if they said moral as a form of moral bullshit, I can understand it. But don't stop using violence when you don't mean violence. Anyway, it dishonors the memory of past victims, misleads the public about present atrocities, and obstructs efforts to avert future ones. So there's more. You can read the rest of that, but I find it interesting. There is a group saying that it is Hamas who's committing genocide, not Israel. Interesting. And then a couple other notes. These are related just because I don't talk about this topic a whole lot, but apparently the IDF. Well, here I'm going to skip I'm going to pass up the headline just because it gives away what I'm about to tell you. So this article in PJ Media, I'm going to start from the beginning. It says, it was one of the most horrific stories of the entire Israel-Hamas conflict, or any conflict. Back in late May, a retired Green Beret named Anthony Aguilar, who had been working with the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, claimed that he witnessed an incident of such shocking heartlessness and inhumanity that it seemed destined to be remembered as one of the most cruel war crimes in the entire history of the world. There was just one catch. It has now been definitively established that not a word of it was true. Aguilar said that while he was working for the GHF, he saw a young Gazan boy who he called Amir approach in hopes of obtaining some food and was given a bag of lentils. Amir was so overjoyed at this that he kissed Aguilar's hand in joy and gratitude. This touching moment was captured in photos, as is so often the case these days. In fact, here, I'll open the link to the photos. Look, let's see the photos. Oh, this is heartwarming. There, he got some lentils and the man kissed his hand. Oh, so whatever. So anyway, and Amir went on his way with everyone feeling happy. And I don't mean just happy. I mean pure joy, the joy in your heart that only pure joy can feel like. Aguilar's happiness, however, was shattered soon after when Israeli Defense Forces soldiers began firing on aid recipients and shot down young Amir in cold blood. Aguilar was featured on news outlets worldwide and told the BBC, "I've never seen such brutality." And that was true. He never did, because, as it turns out, his whole story about Amir being gunned down was a fabrication. Amir, whose real name is Abdul Rahim Muhammad Mohamdan, has reappeared at a TV interview, very much alive and not wounded. Fox News reported Thursday that he has been found alive and was hiding with his mother. Why was he hiding out? Because, well, if he had appeared, Hamas would have likely killed him, so as to preserve the story that Aguilar spread worldwide. The propaganda had to be preserved. Eventually, however, he was found anyway, and is now the cat cannot be put back in the bag. Fox journalists conducted an exclusive interview with the boy, who goes by the name Aboud, and his mother, and noted the pair appeared excited ahead of their planned extraction from the Gaza Strip. Aboud and his mother, whose name is Najla, were safely extracted from the Gaza Strip on Thursday. The location has not been disclosed in this reporting for their protection. Aboud observed placidly, outside the Gaza Strip is nice. You could say that again, brother. So anyway, they ended up interviewing the kid. Where did they, let's see, this is a Fox News report. Let's see the Fox News report here. Here it is. Exclusive video reveals Saeed, said to be killed by IDF, is alive. So there's the kid who they said was murdered by Israel. That's the kid and alive. And there we go. They're interviewing him. Okay, we're gonna just pause that because I don't need to hear the music. But you can watch the interview yourself. A little more. Wait, what's that song? Tequila. No, I know it's tequila, but I was gonna say tequila. That's the isn't that the thing where it's okay to lie if you're trying to do the right cause? There you go. All right, next up is Hamas too is trending because the Hamas guys are gone. Here, I'll leave this open so you can see what I'm doing here. I'll skip that since we got that. Oh, Poland. Oh man, this is interesting. And thank you, Gunfox, if you happen to watch the replay, for bringing this to my attention. Gunfox sent this to me earlier today. Breaking news: war report. Europe NATO Article 4 invoked by Poland. And so here's the story. Poland shot down some Russian drones in its airspace in closest act to open conflict since World War II. Poland was forced to shoot down Russian drones that entered its airspace overnight Wednesday, ominously warning that it brought Europe to the closest to open conflict since World War II, which is the same line. Polish and NATO allied aircraft, including Dutch F-35 fighter jets, took to the skies late Wednesday to help ensure safety in Polish skies from the drones that crossed into its airspace during a wave of Russian attacks in western Ukraine. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk told Parliament that 19 objects entered the country's airspace overnight, with several shot down in what the military called an unprecedented threat. I have no reason to claim we're on the brink of war, but a line has been crossed, and it's incomparably more dangerous than before, he said. And the situation brings us closer to blah, blah, blah. Therefore, Allied consultants took to the form of a formal request to activate Article 4 of the NATO treaty. And so Article 4 states that members of the alliance will meet when any member country believes its territory, political independence, or security of any of its of any of them are threatened. NATO officials said they offered their support during the airspace intrusion, and its 32 national envoys plan to meet to discuss the matter. South Carolina Representative Joe Wilson, senior member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, called the incursion an act of war. Quote, "This is an act of war, and we are grateful to NATO allies for their swift response to war criminal Putin's continued unprovoked aggression against free and productive nations," the Republican congressman posted on X Tuesday night. So, this is concerning. Wilson urged President Trump to respond with mandatory sanctions that will bankrupt the Russian war machine and arm Ukraine with weapons capable of striking Russia. So, Since Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, Russia has repeatedly violated Polish airspace. However, there's been nothing on this scale either in Poland or in any other Western allied country along the alliance's eastern front. This is the first time NATO planes have engaged potential threats in allied airspace, said Colonel Martin O'Donnell of NATO's supreme allied powers of Europe. So there's the picture of a Russian drone shot down in Polish airspace. Dutch Prime Minister Dick Schoof confirmed on social media that Dutch F-35 fighter jet stationed in Poland under NATO's provided support to the Polish Air Force overnight. Let me be clear. The violation of Polish airspace last night by Russian drones is unacceptable. It is further proof that the Russian war of aggression poses a threat to European security, Schoof posted on X. So, and there's a couple other lines here, not significant enough. But the fact that they have invoked Article 4 is an important development. Why am I hitting the wrong page there? What the hell did happen here? Oh, that's I'm looking in the wrong spot. What the hell? Let's find the right. There we go. So Poland's trending now. Some of the lefties are already accusing Donald Trump of not saying that he's not going to respond to this. We'll see what happens. Someone here says, concerned citizen, Poland is one of the few Western European countries that didn't open its borders to millions of people from backward-thinking nations. As a result, the cities are safe, the streets are clean, Christianity rules, and Poland is still very much Poland. Well, that's irrelevant. Oh, here, David Pakman, and then we have another Daily Krasenstein. David Pakman, who cannot pronounce APAC. Do you ever see that video? I posted that a while back where he's pretending he didn't know what APAC was. It says Poland shot down Russian drones after a direct NATO airspace violation. Their prime minister said this is the closest we've been to war since World War II. Putin suspects Trump won't act, and that's exactly why he's testing him. Yeah, but this isn't just Trump. This is all of NATO. It's not just Trump. Ed Krasenstein. Breaking. NATO has officially activated Article 4 of the North Atlantic Treaty at Poland's request after Russian drones violated Polish airspace. Polish PM... Okay, he's just saying the same thing I just read. Oh, I see where he's going with this. Let me read this whole thing from the uglier of the two identical twin brothers, Ed Krasenstein. Polish PM Donald Tusk warns that this is the closest we've ever been to war since World War II. For the first time, NATO fighter jets have shut down Russian drones over Poland, a NATO member state, calling it an unprecedented violation of its territory. Moscow ridiculously fired back, accusing NATO and the EU of provocations without arguments, and warned that any foreign troops deployed to Ukraine would bring dire consequences. Did this happen under Biden? Dipshit. The whole fucking war happened under Biden. That's when it started, dumbass. But it'll be interesting to see what the United States' response to this is. And someone said, Liam Neeson, this Liam Neeson, it's a joke on Liam Neeson. Putin attacked Poland because he knows Donald Trump won't do shit about it. So we'll see what happens. Putin would have never launched drones into Poland if Donald Trump was president. That's what someone says here. That's obviously mocking president. Someone says this photo is from Poland, not Ukraine. so there's all the lefties are out there saying, well, this wouldn't have happened if Joe Biden were president. Yes, it would. Russian drones wouldn't be flying over Poland if Kamala were president. Am I doing this right, Mega? That's because they're obviously mocking what happened during the campaign. So we'll see. They've activated Article 4, which means all NATO countries are obligated to respond if necessary. And we'll see what happens with that. And we already read the New York Post story, so there we go. Now, let's move on to the next thing here. People are still talking, speaking of Ukraine, by the way, people are still talking about war were declared. Wait, what now? If it was just drone, probably off course, though, just saying. Yeah, it's possibly. The Polish Prime Minister made a good point. Why should Europe with 500 million ask America with 300 million to defend them from Russia, who has 140 million? Yeah, that was a good point, too, a while back. We talked about that. Technically, they tried to make us think this happened under Biden with those missiles. Oh, true. All right. Speaking of Ukraine, though, people are still talking about the Ukrainian refugee who was ended in a, not a subway, whatever it was, the public transit in, what state was that in? North Carolina? Charlotte, North Carolina. And I don't know if you saw the clip of what of what Van Jones said about this. As they're having this discussion on This Is CNN. But he's getting ripped to shreds over this statement. Listen to this. Hang on, let me get this full screen here. Listen to this. Van Jones on what happened in Charlotte.
It's not about cashless bail or no cashless bail. It's about the fact that we don't know how to deal with people who are hurting in the way this man was hurting. Hurt people hurt people. What happened was horrible, but it becomes an
This man was hurting. And that's why is he trying to make you feel sorry for this guy who just murdered somebody? A immigrant, a refugee from a war-torn nation that was murdered by this guy. We're supposed to feel sorry for the guy? Is that what Van Jones is saying here? Holy shit. He was hurting. This guy was hurting, so he took out a knife and stabbed a chick in the neck. He was hurting. My God. Oh, my God. Anyway, I'm going to let this idiot finish.
Opportunity for people to jump on bandwagons. And then for someone like Charlie Kirk, he should be ashamed of himself. No one mentioned the word race, white, black, or anything.
We'll come back to that part of the statement because they're responding to Charlie Kirk saying, and me and Charlie Kirk, I'm not a fan of Charlie Kirk, but Charlie Kirk was talking about how the role has been reversed. It had been a white guy who stabbed a law-abiding black woman in the neck. That would be all over national news. Another white supremacist kills a black person, which is pretty rare in the first place, but whatever. Which I tend to agree with that because it's not as big a story if it's, if it's a black person killing a black person, it's not going to get national news. If it's a white person killing a white person, not going to be national news unless one of them is a special class of white people. If it's a black person killing a white person, that doesn't get much play. It just doesn't. Maybe gets it in local news. But if it's a white person killing a black person, then it's white supremacy and, oh my God, slavery and everything else. And so that's what they're talking about in this segment. They're saying, the Republican, because all the story now, at least on these networks, is Republicans and MAGA people are just all over this because they are complaining. And in some ways, I understand. Look, from my perspective, it is, this is where the term woke right sometimes comes in because they want to make it a big thing about, white people being oppressed, which I understand I can understand how you can complain about the fact that this would be national news had it been the other way around. But again, most crime most crimes happen within the same race and not outside of it. But this is one of those rare cases where you'd wonder how do they pick what's going to be a huge national story? And so this became a huge national story now because some people are reacting to the story because it didn't become a huge national story. So now they're talking about it as far as Republicans pouncing, and not the fact that an immigrant, a refugee immigrant was murdered by an American. See, they might be able to use that angle, but they not because reasons. So anyway, hello, Avocado Stabby. Thank you for sponsoring the show again. Appreciate it. Another 223 in the tip jar. Van Jones picked a convenient time to test out being colorblind. Right? Because Van Jones always notes the race of things if it were the other way around. And we'd be talking about oppression and this and that and all the other third. That phrase I hate. This, that, and the third. Anyway, what else did he say?
Except him. What people mention is the horror of what happened to this young woman.
Right, except if it were a white guy killing a black person. If it were a white cop killing an unarmed black man, or if it was, any other thing. And if it had been a white guy killing any other race, that's all we'd be talking about. That's all Van Jones would notice. Not just the tragedy of a I wish it was that way. I really do. I wish it was just, you know what? This is a grisly murder of a human being by another human being. But it's just always, there's always a little twist depending on the demographics of the victim and the victor and the victim and the criminal. So, so he's getting raked over the coals over this. I don't know who this Drew Pavlo is. Van Jones, the man stabbing Irina Zarutska, was hurt people. Sorry, but this is bullshit. Would he talk about this about Derek Chauvin? Of course not. This is just bullshit. Why would you talk like this about someone who just stabbed a random woman to death for literally no reason? I really don't care if he was hurting when he did that. Literally nobody cares. There's no level of hurt that ever justifies randomly stabbing people to death on a train. That's exactly right. Tim Pool. Everyone's ripping Van Jones to shreds for this. So rightly so. So anyway, that's still, so Charlotte and Irina Zarutska is still trending. Oh, by the way, her family speaks out. Oh, this is interesting. If it happened like this, Charlotte would be burned to the ground right now. If that were the scene, could you imagine? Could you imagine if that were this scene? So anyway, her family has spoken out. The family of Irina Zarutska is demanding justice for the murdered 23-year-old Ukrainian refugee who was ruthlessly and randomly slaughtered on a light rail in Charlotte, North Carolina last month. Zarutska was stabbed to death allegedly by repeat offender DeCarlo Brown Jr., 34, in a horrifying caught-on-camera killing, which has left her family bereft and calling for a solution to systemic failures in the city's public safety. I don't know. Other than that guy probably maybe should have been in jail longer for other crimes, I don't know how do you stop that? If there had been more security on the train, I'm trying not to show this on screen because by the way, you can see the video now on screen. It's basically see her bleed out, and the people around her didn't even realize it happened. They did eventually try to help her. She said, the family says, "We are heartbroken beyond words. Irina came here to find peace and safety. Instead, her life was stolen from her in the most horrific way," as family spokesperson said in a statement issued by lawyers and obtained by WSOC 9. No family should have to go through this. No, they should not. Her relatives demanded that prosecutors lock up Brown and further address the broader crisis in public safety and systemic failure. Brown's half-brother, Jeremiah, similarly felt that the shocking stabbing might never have occurred if North Carolina City had a functioning justice system. I think they could have pretty much prevented it then, Jeremiah told the Post, referring to lax terms set by a magistrate judge that allowed DeCarlos to be released from jail in January. So there's more than that. Speaking of which, first of all, here, the bystanders did try to help the victim, but they didn't know it happened. And so for a long time, they didn't even see, they just sat there. Morning Blue-Eyed Scream and Gen T. What up, Gen T Maxie? Another of my Canadian friends are in the house tonight. Holy moly. Anyway, bystanders tried to help Charlotte's stabbing victim in her dying moments. Newly released footage from the murder of the Ukrainian refugee in Charlotte, North Carolina captures the moment when bystanders tried to help her as she bled on the floor of a public train. Passengers gathered around in an apparent attempt to massage Irina's wound after she was massaged. Stop the bleeding, I would think, but that's what I would do. I'd be trying to like stop the bleed. Anyway, as she bled on the floor of a public train, they gathered around after she was fatally stabbed on the night of August 22nd, as shown in extended video footage released Tuesday by Headline USA. The suspect, a mentally ill homeless man with a lengthy criminal record, now faces local and federal charges and could be put to death if convicted in federal court. The Department of Justice announced on Tuesday. So there's a link to the U.S. Attorney of Western District of North Carolina talking about that. Thank you, Avocados Diablo, another Deuce plus 23 in the tip jar, who says that asshole should be put in a gibbet and then left to starve to death and have his corpse picked clean by the birds. Then his bones pulverized and thrown in a landfill. That'd be what's the word for it? Poetic? I don't know. Yeah, he's a shitbag. So there you go. Thank you, Avocados Diablo, for those words of hope and inspiration. Good Lord. So anyway, and then there's a couple other articles. Oh, by the way, people were saying that they didn't know the motivation or anything like that. They didn't know if this was, if there was demographics involved in this. And by the way, I love the beginning of this article because this is an article at Front Page, which mirrors what I said 2 days ago. The fact that they don't give a shit about this refugee, this immigrant, this person getting away from a war-torn country, an actual immigrant. They care about immigrants except for this one. Because they don't seem to, it's funny, none of the news, nobody's really talking about the immigrant factor of this. And so here's how this story at Front Page starts. The Democrat Party has finally found a Ukrainian refugee they don't care anything about. By now, everyone who has an X account, as opposed to people who depend on network television propaganda for their news, has seen either the stomach-churning video footage or the terrifying still shots of the savage murder of a 23-year-old Ukrainian in Charlotte, North Carolina on the light rail by a career criminal. The vicious, unprovoked stabbing of Irina Zarutska actually occurred on August 22nd, 2025, but the rail car surveillance footage became available only a couple of days ago, igniting righteous fury across the nation, except among Democrat leaders and media elites, who predictably ignore the controversy entirely. And that's so weird. Hello, Renee Mayette. How you doing? Now, I say predictably because the barbarian who stabbed the distracted Zaruska 3 times in the neck with a folding knife and then left her to die as he walked away is a 34-year-old black male, DeCarlos Brown Jr., who had a whopping rap sheet of 14 prior arrests. 14. How many times must a person be arrested? Now they say black male, but whatever. It's not just blackmail. Just how many times the little white Antifa fuckwads get let out of jail when they do something wrong? Every time. It's not. There's a difference between a justice system and a legal system, because they think justice is the more important thing, and I think maybe they should follow the legal part of the legal system, because their idea of justice is sometimes bullshit. But anyway. Now, what the left-wing media refused to address is that the video footage shows Brown subsequently bragging in racial terms about his victim. Quote, "I got that white girl." Now, I'm curious. And look, I don't even, as I just said before, I wish we could just say this other human being killed this other human being and it was fucked up, because that's already fucked up enough. But someone tried to say, well, we don't know the motivations. He was mentally ill, this and that. When the words that came out of his mouth is, "I got that white girl." Huh. That's weird. That's a weird thing to say. And the problem is, again, you'd think we're in a country of 360 million people. This is not going to happen on every train in America. It's a rare case. And so sometimes by amplifying this, you get, false impressions of what the world's like. It's just like with school shootings. We have a school shooting, which is one is too many. But then you think about, if you're going to go out there and live in fear for your life or fear for your kids, and you realize that there's, 1.3 million schools in the United States of different places, how rare it's going to be. It is, but man, if it's blasted over the TV all the time, you're thinking, oh my God, this is going to make me concerned anytime I see someone who doesn't look like me. And that goes every which way. But anyway, Democrat narratives that white supremacy is the nation's greatest domestic threat, violent crime isn't a serious issue in America, only whites commit hate crimes, the jails should be emptied and police be defunded. Those are all problems that Democrats have on their resumes. That's what they think. And so is the fact that it's being amplified by the right, because so many things are amplified by the left, is the fact this being amplified by the right going to cause a whole nother wave of stuff. We're not going to see protests in the street. You're not going to see people marching, yelling "White Lives Matter." 2020. Someone posted the other day, 2020, Black Lives Matter. Yeah, because all lives matter. 2025, White Lives Matter. Yeah, because all lives matter. And we need to address any form of violence in the United States. We should be concerned about everybody's lives. But I don't want to go woke on this and make now we're going to have a White Lives Matter movement. No, we're just going to have, how about we have a Lives Matters movement? Maybe we're going to have a how our legal system works question. Ukrainian supermodel lives matter. Yes, she has honor. She probably could end up in some facet been a Ukrainian supermodel who's Ukrainian what's the word, refugees lives matter. Immigrants. I thought you Democrats were all about the immigrants, except this immigrant. Anyway, this goes on about this, but yeah, there was a racial aspect to it out of the mouth of the person who committed the crime. So there you go. All right. And then they have this, there's an editorial by Glenn Reynolds, formerly, known as Instapundit. Not only did this brutal murder of a white woman by a black man turn the Democrats' racial narrative on its head, it underscored and boosted President Trump's messaging on urban crime. Brown had 14 arrests, but turnkey judges and prosecutors kept letting him go. By the way, the last judge, the magistrate judge who let him go, I think we mentioned this yesterday, doesn't have a law degree. He's not even a lawyer. Apparently in North Carolina, these magistrate judges are just nominated by someone here who knows someone there and whatever. And so when a lot of these, and in fact, this person, I hate going to the DEI aspect of this because that whole term is just annoying when people talk about it. But the person who appointed this magistrate judge was, a big advocate for restorative justice and DEI and all this stuff, and put a judge who has no qualifications to be a judge on a bench for this. So, I think Glenn Reynolds touches on that subject too, but I need to move on. Actually, I need to be done, but there's and then there's other one here. Oh, by the way, the Charlotte mayor, who again, almost immediately when talking about this, basically was talking about like as though the perpetrator was the victim, oh, mental health and this and that, and you can't, stigmatize the mental health community and blah, 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 blah. Well, she decided to make a firmer statement, but it may have come a little bit short too. After immense public backlash over a comment sympathizing with the man who allegedly stabbed 23-year-old Irina Zarutska on a train, Charlotte Mayor V. Lyles, which Megyn Kelly says, V. Lyles, it's Vi Lyles. So it's almost like her name is Vile, which she kind of is. Anyway, she released another mealy-mouthed statement Monday calling the crime a tragic failure by the courts. But nowhere in the page-long statement did she take responsibility for her previous comments, in which she thanked the media for burying the story and called for compassion for violent offenders. How about fuck that violent offender right in the ass? Not personally, maybe with a flagpole or something. And then they go on about the disturbing video footage. Anyway, she tried to backtrack or tried to make her statement better, but she still didn't address her prior statements. But she's saying, well, our court system failed here and blah, blah, blah. No shit. No shit, it failed. So anyway, Elena Stefanik introduced legislation aimed at making Trump's cashless bail ban permanent. I don't know if that would have helped here or not. What if that person would have gotten bailed out or whatever? So there's a couple more articles on this. But remember the first thing I said when I saw that Axios article complaining about Republicans jumping on this bandwagon, a.k.a. Republicans pounce? Well, I'm almost like Nostradamus when it comes to what people on the right are going to say. This article in the American Thinker starts out, Republican pounce after ignoring murder of Ukrainian refugee. Media covers conservative reaction, not the crime. Well, I covered that 2 days ago, and that's happening on CNN. It happened on Axios. So there's a few more examples in that article. All right. I have a whole bunch of other tabs open, including the aggregator. There's a lot of great stories, a lot of stuff in here. One in particular, apparently John Fetterman is criticizing Democrats who have been warming up to embracing socialism. And he's like, you're a bunch of fucking morons. Good for John Fetterman. Good for John Fetterman. Other articles here. I'll show you what the articles I have that you haven't seen yet. So this you can get a taste here. Also the trending topics of Ukrainian and, sorry, I hit the wrong button there. Ukrainian and black were trending because of this. To which I found this, this is a great article. If you don't know who King Randall is, he's the guy who opened the school in Albany, Georgia for boys of any race, but mostly black kids, he's tried to teach them how to be men and have skills and different things. So he posted on black because everyone else is talking about how, the killer was black, blah, blah, blah. And then there's some other stuff, race baiting shit. But his post here, he says, the world is busy race baiting. One side blaming all white people, the other side blaming all black people. Meanwhile, our boys are learning auto repair, how to grow food, build, and lead. This is how you save America, not with victimhood, but with discipline and work. And if you don't know about his school, I highly recommend. In fact, I'm going to put him in a separate link today. If you're not familiar with King Randall, we've talked about it before here, but he's a great dude. Opened this school for, at-risk kids in Georgia and Albany. And he's if you ever thought of something, a good cause to donate to, his school is it. So there you go. I'll put a separate link. Other articles, though, in the National Pulse. Apparently there are Sharia patrols in Texas that are demanding alcohol and pork sales being halted. A Houston-based imam is sparking controversy after launching a national campaign aimed at pressuring Muslim-owned businesses to stop selling products considered forbidden under Islamic law, including pork and alcohol and lottery tickets. I'm sure that's going to go well. But yeah, he's targeting Muslims who work at businesses that sell those things. In legal insurrection, dozen of mass thieves assault elderly California jewelry store owner. More crime in California. There's some footage of that. Also in legal insurrection, Hakeem Jeffries has picked Eric Swalwell to be on the new January 6th committee. So apparently they're upping a January 6th committee in a proper fashion of both sides of the aisle being involved in it. And so, not only is House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries establishing a new January 6th committee, but he has also added the best and the brightest Democrats to it. Eric Swalwell will be the ranking member that Jeffrey chose, and she also chose Jasmine Crockett. I'm literally laughing as I write this post. He appointed Representative Jamie Raskin as an ex officio member. These people are obsessed. And there's a statement by him. Mr. Turnip Man is just the least charismatic person on the planet, and most Democrats know it. And the Federalist, the FBI releases from Tennessee, Christian school shooter, call out and depict demons. They attempted to keep this transgender murder writings under wraps, but they've released new pages from it, and there's a lot of demons and shit involved. You want to hear about? That's the one in Nashville. The girl who thinks she's a boy that shot up the school in Nashville. And then there's an article in Legal Insurrection how the courts have upheld E. Jean Carroll's $83 million defamation award against Trump. That's destined to go to a higher court. The U.S. Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals once again ruled that against President Trump as he tries to overturn the defamation awards for E. Jean Carroll. I think they're going about this in the wrong way. Look, he's going about it saying that because they were asking him these questions as a president, that it should have some presidential privilege to this. I don't think so. I don't think it at all. That's not the directions they should be going. They should be going the fact that, this was excessive. The initial ruling was excessive, and also the fact that it didn't follow the rules of law. They actually changed the law to be able to go after him. That's what he should be appealing to. It was past the statute of limitations in New York. They changed the law in New York to be able to prosecute him, and then they changed it back after they prosecuted him. It was specifically to take him out. And so they argued that he has presidential immunity or deserves a new trial, and the amount is excessive. Well, the appeals court said that's not the best way to do it. So I got a feeling that it's still going to be overruled by the Supreme Court eventually. And so there you go. All right, that's it. Let me drop these links in the chat. Let me get rid of this first. I got to get rid of these two things. Bump and bump. Thank you to people who shared the show and all that, and people who have sponsored the show, Avocados Diabli, and oh yeah, that's from today. Okay, that's it. Let me drop these links and we're gonna get out of here. So I'll be back tomorrow for FTG Thursday. Okay, there we go. And there we go. Also, if you're not following me on Locals, that's a great place to get notifications. They're more instant. Copy. Here are today's links. Damn it. I wish I was better at typing. There you go. There's the links to the show and more, a few extra articles, and the aggregator from Ace of Spades blog, which is my favorite aggregator. That's it. Thank you for joining me today on the Morning Night Live. I gotta go. You have a wonderful day. My name is PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is PDawgKnight, and thanks for watching today on the PDawgKnight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cashapp, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here.